Recently, Adobe released an update to Camera Raw. It's Camera Raw 4.1. Now, a lot of folks thought that this update was just a camera update, just to add support for different cameras, but it's actually a lot more than that. It's actually got some really good new features inside of it, and one of them I want to take a look at here in this video. It's called clarity. So let's take a look here. Now, when you open up Internet Explorer, when you open up Camera Raw, you're going to go into the basic panel. That's where it starts you off. And you won't really notice a change unless you look toward the bottom here. And there you'll see the clarity slider. And it's that slider that has become the new Make My Photo Better slider. Alright, a lot of people don't really know what it does, but they just know it makes their photo better, which is totally fine. You don't have to know the technical reasons behind it. But what I do want to show you here is why you would use this over maybe one of the other sliders that you might think of using. So what clarity does is it's a mid-tone contrast enhancing type of a setting. And that doesn't necessarily mean a lot to most people out there. What the heck is that? Well, take a look at our histogram. Here's our highlights over here on the right. Over here on the left are the shadows, okay? Everything in the middle here are the midtones. And it's a little bit more difficult to go into Camera Raw and to make a setting that affects those midtones. That's where a lot of the color information is inside your photos. It's hard to get a setting that goes in there and affects those midtones. We can generally get to the highlights and shadows pretty easily, but the midtones are a little harder. Well, take a look at what contrast does. What contrast does is it takes all the bright areas and it makes them brighter, takes all the dark areas and makes them darker. And in doing that, it makes the photo look really bad. It's just an image-wide setting. It's pretty much all on or all off, and you don't get a whole lot of flexibility with it. And in fact, instead of contrast, it really turned into the sunburn slider. Okay, so it's not so helpful here. But clarity, on the other hand, take a look at clarity. I'm going to drag this. I'm going to drag it up to 100, and you can see a change in the photo. Now, this is probably higher than I would normally go, but it kind of gives you a good demonstration. Look at the before and look at the after. It's hard to pinpoint. It has added contrast, but look at the facial features. It's not like it's adding, it's not taking those really bright areas and making them brighter as in the contrast slider. It's just kind of added a little bit of punch to some of the facial features here. So I wouldn't keep it at 100. I'd probably pull it down to somewhere between 30 to 40 generally works pretty good for me. But I'm really going to zoom in here. I'm going to give you an idea of what you want to look for when you're adjusting this. So as I start to increase this slider, alright, start to take a look at some of these mid-tone contrast areas, because these aren't really high contrast areas, some of these facial features here. But we can bring these out with the clarity slider. What you want to watch out for is introducing any type of texture or fringing around any of those contrast areas. If I zoom in even more, you'll start to see it here. Take a look at the skin texture up here. I'm going to start to increase this, and you'll start to see some noise appear up here in the skin texture. If I toggle the preview here, that's before and then after. You can see just a little bit of noise popping in there, okay? And you can just press the letter P, by the way, to toggle before and after. Alright, so that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to go too far, and that's why I said somewhere in the 30 to 40, sometimes even 50 works pretty well. But let me show you what it does here. So take a look at some of the facial features along the eyes, right along the side of the mouth here, and along the mouth. I'm going to hit that preview again. Before, after. It's real subtle, but it's nice. It's a way to get into parts of that photo that we weren't able to do before we had this clarity slider. So there you have it. It's clarity. It's in Camera Raw 4.1. And if you go to Adobe's website, I'll even show you. Go to adobe.com/camera raw, and you can download it for free there for Mac and for Windows.